Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to see that you are listening to me. That means that you care, that you understand. Raising children in the digital world is not easy, and it takes a lot of knowledge and experimentation. I can tell you, as a psychologist, as a mom, this was very hard for me when I started this process. This is how I came up doing digital psych. About 3 years ago, I said, oh my God, it's time for my children to be part of this world. And I was afraid. Number one, we know there's a lot of predators. There's a lot of images out there that we don't want our children to see. It damages their brain. It creates a lot of um, difficult emotions in them, like anxiety, fear, helplessness, and also the values that are thrown by different platforms, TikTok, Google, YouTube, etc., are not the ones that we want our children to see. I want to be the parent, the educator of my child. I don't want these platforms to be the one educating my children. And I said, how do I do this? This was the first time as a parent that I was afraid. Before that, for me, actually, my ride as parent was very smooth. I still have to consult things with colleagues. But with this, I said, you know what? I need to inform myself. I went online, did a lot of research, and yes, there's a lot of information out there that is great for parents, but it's disorganized, and a lot of us are very busy. So I ended up building a model that worked very well for me. And I said, you know what? I need to help parents to make sure that they know how to do it, because there's a lot of helplessness out there, guilt. Parents are lost, but you know what? There's no need to feel that way. And I'm going to show you 10 simple steps for you to follow. So you're going to have a handout where you're going to see all the steps, and I want you to check in. What steps do you actually are doing? Which ones you're missing? Which ones you feel that you can start doing it by yourself or you need some help? Okay. So good luck with that. Let's try to make this time useful for you so that you know what are the next step after this webinar. So yes, we know this is the world of technology. Yes, it's messy. There's a lot of information out there. Our children, if you have a child that knows how to write, to read, and has access to the internet, they're going to see images like this anytime from when they're like 6, 7 years old, even before. So we have to be prepared as parents. What is the problem with these images? The problem is that our children are not ready to see them because they're vulnerable, they're weak, and they know that they need protection of their parents. And we are leaving these children to be alone in front of screens where there's a lot of images that are violent, disturbing for them, confusing, sexual. And when they see these images, they identify with those characters that are on the screen, and they can feel those emotions, and they will end up feeling anxiety, stress, helplessness, and we don't want that. We need to make sure that we provide and put all the parental controls that we can in our children's home. So step number 1 is children need to navigate any single device with a child account. We are the administrators and they're the children. This is one of the things that we do in Digital Safe. We help parents know how to use all the settings that are in every single device, because we don't need fancy applications. Use the settings that Apple bring, Netflix, Alexa. There's some smartphone devices out there that are great as well. We help our parents set them up so that they don't have to get crazy with it. Now, why? Step number 2, once you have your child using a child account and then you have control over it, you see a lot of parents out there that they give their tablets to children, and there's no restrictions with that. They can download every application they want, or they can see any type of content. We don't want that. So once they're a child account, you can set up the parental control. Why is our parental control so great? Because look at everything that you can manage. You can manage screen time, the amount of time that they're in an application, how much time they can be in front of a screen during the day. This can be done in video games. It can be done in any single device in your house. We want to make sure that we control what they download. Number one, it will give you information about what their interests are. Number two, we don't want them to download applications where it can be dangerous for them. For the three reasons that I mentioned at the beginning: strangers, values, and also content, the type of content that they'll be seeing, the images. A parental control helps you with content restrictions, so you can put the appropriate age for them, and it also, you can write down the websites that you don't want them to watch. For example, there's a lot of anonymous chat rooms out there that if you have the settings done for minors, they can still go into those websites and talk to strangers, so you have to write them manually. Another reason why parents want to write things manually, it's maybe your child is addicted to TikTok. They're spending too much time in TikTok. If you want to really restrict the time they're in TikTok, it's not only restricting the application, it's also restricting what they search in Safari or in other searches. Then contact with strangers, it's something great, that possibility. You can restrict them, receiving calls from strangers on numbers they don't know, or when it comes to multiplayer games as well, you can restrict with whom they interact. And the last one is downtime. The number one trigger for mental health problems is lack of sleep. And we know technology is a big trigger, even for ourselves as parents. We want to make sure our children go to bed early, they develop great sleeping habits. So with this, with your phone, you can shut it down and they have no option other than maybe reading a book and falling asleep. Step number 3 of parental control: what applications are appropriate? This is a great question. Yes, Apple Store and Google, they have the rated age, but let me tell you something, they're not consistent. So we have to think as parents here. They're not making us, making this decision easy for us. The other thing that it's important here to consider is free applications versus paid applications. I think children should only use paid applications. Why? Because commercials, advertisements, they're not regulated at all. Your child might be using an application that is 4+, and the commercials that are out there are 17+. So since this is very complicated, I want you parents to have 5 criteria in your mind. You can think that can help you make the decision. Should I download this application for my child or not? These are, is this an application where my child can interact with strangers? If this is an application that has explicit content, what type of explicit content? Can my child be part of a cyberbullying, or what type of interactions are children having in their applications? Privacy. Is this application where my children can have privacy? And passive learning. I'm a big believer that the worst thing about technology is passive learning. There's great things with technology that we can do, but we want to avoid passive learning the more we can. A great example is we have a lot of children that they love to see other players. I think children should be playing the games, not only watching. Yes, I know there's strategies that they need to learn. I say with my clients, like, I spend a lot of time watching players because I want to get better at the game. I understand, but the percentage of time that they're watching should be much lower than the percentage that they're playing. We continue with step number 3. Now, there's an important variable here called child, level of maturity and judgment. There's a saying, one model does not fit all. The same is with technology and applications. What's the best application for our children? For some children, might be one, for some children, might be another one. So how do we determine the level of maturity and judgment? Do they get what's privacy and how they keep privacy? How important it is for their reputation, okay, and for their self-respect. Curiosity of strangers. This one is a major one. How much they have that. This is like a type of seeking sensation for children. Children want to experiment, and they feel that experimenting with a stranger is safe. And it's not. We know that. they feel that because nobody's watching them, they don't know who they are, so they can start trying things that they have in their mind, fantasies, things that they saw in a movie or a friend told them, and ask questions and type of interactions that we don't want them to have with people that we really don't know what they want from our children. The other one is, do they understand what self-respect and respect is? If they are children that they care about other human beings and they will never allow anybody to abuse them, they'll have less problems in the online world for sure. Follow rules. Does your child follow rules? If they follow rules, that's a good sign. And the last one is sticking to life responsibilities. Parents, there's nothing wrong in using technology as a privilege. It's great. It's leverage for us. We need leverage when we are educating our children. And this is the one thing that we have in this generation. So for me, I think children are allowed to use technology and certain applications as long as they meet all their responsibilities. Step number 4 has to do with becoming mentors and being mentors of our children. I feel that's our name right now when it comes to raising children. We need to be mentors. And it's very hard for us because we did not live in a world of technology. We didn't grow up in that world. And to be mentors, there are 3 things that need to be happening. You have to have knowledge, experimentation, and you need to have conversations with your children. Now, Digital Sync helps parents with this. We provide parents with exactly what they need to know about the applications to become mentors and have those great conversations with their children. Now, conversations with children cannot be about what we want to say. It needs to be about what they need, you know, what they're looking for. So we need to be able to empathize with them. And that process is not easy, I think, as parents, because we don't know. So we have to go out there and be in those applications or find out what those applications are for. We can help you with that. And let's go into the list so that you grab some idea. For example, video games, you know, all these issues about passive learning and passive and active learning that I just mentioned is a big one. Multiplayer games, it's another one. We talk about social media. Social media is in all video games. They're socializing all the time. This is why it gets so exciting. So we need to help our children build certain rules when it comes to those interactions with friends, with strangers, with people that they somehow know, how to talk to them, how to be respectful. Then we have the social media applications. We have some that actually allow more privacy and other ones that have no privacy at all. Parents need to know which are the ones that, and how can we help our children understand and why they need privacy and how to set up those controls. This is something that we do also for parents. Meeting strangers, it's a big process, you know, as I'm saying. And then we have also anonymous questions out. It's like, you know, this idea that children carry that, you know, who tells you the truth? So maybe if I ask to people that they don't know me, they will tell me the truth. But no, comments can be mean and might be exaggerations too. YOLO, it's a big one that some kids use in Snapchat. They download YOLO and to ask questions to friends. And the reality is that we have to teach our children, don't put yourself in situations where you can get hurt. And there are other applications where children actually hide things that we need to know about, and texting. I feel there's so many things that are so complicated out there right now that we forget. We think that texting, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. No, there is. We have to help our children set up rules when it comes to texting. Social rules, like if you're finding that they're telling you something that it's not making you feel good, grab the phone. If they're misinterpreting things that you're saying, grab the phone. WhatsApp groups, don't leave people outside of groups. You know, they put so much focus on these WhatsApp groups and they make some kids feel terrible about it. And we have, for example, Telegram, and it's an open application. They can meet strangers as well. So some text applications, children can be in contact with strangers too, and we need to know that. Okay, this is an example, for example, of some of the things that happens with anonymous chat rooms. For me, this is super important that parents know it's out there in our community. They do play dates and they're all chatting with strangers with scary content, sexual content, full of lies. And it's not good for our children, especially, the young children. This is some of the images that they see. We really want to prevent this. So we have the right parental control in every single device. And our friends are doing the same thing. There's no way that our children can do this. This is, I don't know if you remember when we were young, we used to call prank calls, like dial a random number and say something over the phone. Well, now it's the same, but more complicated because they can end up in video conferences. And then when you are chatting, there's more social distance. It's easier to say things that you don't mean as well. And those conversations we have to have them with them. Step number 3 have to do with conversations. Number 5, I'm sorry. Step number 5, conversations to have with our children. And we have some here that we want you to have in mind and check whether I'm having this conversation, how I'm having this conversation. We help our parents also build knowledge and skills on how to talk about these difficult things. For example, violence and evilness. Our children are navigating in a world of humanity. When we were younger, maybe our parents, they created more of a shelter, and we were not as exposed to the reality of humanity and even images on the screens. Now they know it exists. So how do we help our children not feel so stressed out about our reality? I remember when we were young, the idea was, the message was, bad people get bad things, good people get good things. That's not true. That's a world that when we are adults, we find out, and it hurts because bad things happen to good people as well. And we have to use certain techniques to help our children navigate that anxiety. Like, for example, one can be being rational, helping children that, yes, bad things can happen, but the chances are so small that we really don't have to focus on that. Or thinking about, using some spirituality for some people. The one thing that I love is to help children grab control is through kindness. The message is, if we are kind, the more kindness we bring to the world, the less people will suffer. And talk to your child about the effects of violence in the brain. This is so important. We don't see what's going on in the brain. It's not like you run and you fall and you broke an arm and people can see that you cannot grab things or you're somehow impaired. But the brain, we cannot see what's inside of the brain. We have to teach that to our children. So not seeing doesn't mean that there's something there that can be messed up. These images can mess up the brain of a child. Then we have this concept, these different topics of nudity, sex, porn, and intimacy. And I feel that in our society, they're boxing those 4 very different things in one box. It's like when you receive an Amazon box in your house and it has an item from the kitchen, an item from the bathroom, an item, a clothing or something like that, a book for your child. Same thing. These are very different things, and we need to help our children differentiate that. Porn is fake sex. Sex is very different than real intimacy. And nudity, the external part of ourself doesn't mean that is not sex, and doesn't mean that it's great. This idea that we really have to help our children understand that meeting somebody takes time, but there's so much beauty coming out of it, and relationships are so much better when we truly connect with somebody that we know. We have scary content all over the place. Like, our children are receiving messages through chats that if you don't do X or Y, this will happen to your parents. They don't understand that. We need to explain that. You're going to receive a lot of information from friends, family members, people that love you, that it's fake, that is not real. Safety and privacy. We have to talk so much about this with our children. I think right now privacy should be a value in our home, not a rule, a value. For example, taking pictures or videos, we should say in our house, like, you do not take a picture or a video without permission. That belongs to me, and I decide whether you can do it or not. We will save our children from many problems if we start doing that in our homes. We also have to teach our children that their space, like the social media space, is there. It belongs to them, and they have the right to do with that whatever they want. So if there's somebody bothering them, they can block them, they can restrict them. Okay, it's more important how they feel than anything else. It's like a house. If you're not going to invite to your house somebody that is going to mistreat you. Well, the same is with all these platforms where they have an account or an interaction with the world. Other conversations have to do with fake news, we know that, and critical thinking, helping our children develop that critical thinking. This concept of fake body, filters, editing apps, it's harming so much the images that our children are thinking they need to have to be acceptable, how they see themselves, what the ideas about how they expect other people's views of themselves. And for me, two ways of doing this is embracing imperfection. The more you embrace imperfection, the better they will feel about themselves, because we human, we are imperfect. Another one is laughing, making fun of yourself using the filters on them so they see how fake it is. Play with it with them. This whole concept about cyberbullying and strangers, which I want to take some time, more time, and explain to you how we're going to have this conversation with our children. Now, if we are immersing our children in a world of humanity, there's certain principles that they need to know. Number one, they need to understand that there are people out there that are sick, that they don't care about them, about people's emotions, and they will do things to hurt them. Has nothing to do with them being inadequate, has nothing to do with them, having something wrong with them. No, it's those people are the ones that have a problem. Number two, children need to understand that it's impossible that everybody will love them. It's normal. Everybody has in their life somebody that they don't like you, and we live in a world that we will find out because of social media. They have to know that. We want to reduce the way they personalize negative feedback in their life. Have nothing to do with them, but it's part of being a human being. And three, our children are going to see a lot of people that carry different behaviors and values. And that doesn't mean that they have to carry them. So we have to embrace diversity more than ever. Once they know all of that, the idea is that if they end up facing cyberbullying, disrespect, okay, they understand that it might not be because there's something wrong with them, be because there's something wrong with the other person. Okay? And that will alleviate a lot of the emotional pain that comes as a result of these negative interactions. When it comes to strangers, this thing that we learn as children is if you see a stranger and they give you a lollipop, don't accept it, just run. It's not as simple in the digital world. And the one thing that we know in the research is that we cannot lie to children. We have to tell them the truth. We have to tell them everything that is going on. So saying that strangers are bad people, they know it's not, because they're interacting with strangers all the time, with friends of friends. They go to House Party, which is an application. They're there and they're meeting friends of friends. Those are strangers and they're good people. They find out that it's great to meet new people as well. So we have to tell them and explain them this, what I call is a new intimacy continuum. Okay? Where you have to teach them how to deal with strangers and what to expect from strangers, okay, in one box. And then we have how to talk and interact with famous people, acquaintances, online friends, and friends. And there's different levels of intimacy. There's different things that you touch or you interact within those categories. Okay, so what you say, how you share things, what you expect them to tell you, so that they understand where are the red flags. Okay. Now why do we want this? Because we want to avoid cyberbullying, we want to avoid inappropriate content, we want to avoid sexual solicitation, disturbing emotions. So online predators, this is a really important one that it goes along with it. We have to talk to our children, how is this process? Where are the red flags? Okay. So the first content usually of these predators have to do with finding common interest with children, offering something, that will be appealing for them. They will show a lot of need of socialization. Then there's the grooming part, where they show more interest, they show kindness, gift, affection, and they look into how are these children vulnerable, what are the emotional needs. They gradually will be moving into the sexual activity, asking for pictures of their bodies, talking about sexual things, saying that this is normal and this is okay. We know that 1 in 9 children had received online sexual solicitations. This is happening. It's a reality, and I think it can be actually higher than that. Then we know that 16% of teens, they're willing to meet up with strangers. That's a big number, I think. And I think it might be even bigger than that as well. And then the blackmailing process. We have to talk to our children about all of this, because they might think sometimes that they're not talking to a stranger and they end up in the blackmailing process. This is a very scary process that we know some children have been on, because they are so manipulated that they feel like they cannot reach an adult. So when we're talking about online danger, we have to tell our children it is more important your safety than the fact that you might be doing something wrong. We are here to protect you. Okay, you have control by closing the screen. Okay, there's always time. Don't allow the person to tell you there's no time, you have to send something to me immediately because something wrong will happen. No. There's time to close that screen and come to me, to the adult, and I'll be there for you to protect you. And they do that. They use all these pictures and they blackmail these kids so that they send them more and more pictures, and they're using this for homemade child pornography. Step number 6 has to do with, okay, we know all of this. Now, how do we talk to our children about these boundaries? Because some parents feel, and I think children too, that if my parents are putting boundaries to me, it means maybe that I'm acting wrong, or that I'm not good enough, or that I need rules because there's something wrong with me. We have to teach our children that rules are part of life. That every single situation that we will be in, relationships, our jobs, schools, sports, the rules are good because it determines how we have to behave. Okay, rules are not punishment. That's the first thing we have to tell them. Then we have to tell them that technology is a privilege if they meet responsibilities. So all our devices in the house belong to parents. They don't belong to children. And I think there's 6 types of responsibility that our children need to meet for them to have that privilege. 1 is home chores. 2, adhering to family value. 3, meeting academic responsibility, of course. 4, adopting healthy habits. Yes, healthy habits are so important, more than ever. I think the benefit of technology is that finally the brain, we're taking into account the brain. We know that we're vulnerable to this addiction, and we have to take care of our brain so that we don't become addicted. We have to teach that. And also when it comes to eating habits, when it comes to exercise, so important to balance those 3 aspects. Committing to family time. Yes, they have to commit to family time. Don't feel bad if you're requesting them to sit on a table and talk to you. There's nothing wrong with it. They will appreciate that when they're older. I tell you, I see teenagers that parents, they don't expect anything from them and they feel bad. They're like, why my mother should be telling me that I'm doing something wrong and she's not doing it. What does that mean? Sometimes they see it not as love, but as maybe they don't care. Self-respect and respect to others. This is a big one. Interacting online creates a lot of misinterpretations. That's why we have to teach our children to be cordial. More than respect, cordial. We have to go beyond. Beyond being nice. Step 6, so we'll continue here, is, okay, how do we enforce rules? Okay, and create this negative reinforcements and punishments. When it comes to technologies, there are 3. Content restriction, you can use that one. You can restrict what they're seeing as a punishment. decrease screen time, take away phone. I love this one, take away phone. Buy one of those old phones, the flip phones, and have them in your house and say, if you, maybe, I don't know, it can be sneaking in electronics, it can be maybe that they're not meeting their responsibilities. You can say, give me that phone and take this one. They will hate it. They will hate that more than not having a phone. The other one that I want you to have in mind is that if they ended up being seen inappropriate content, or looking at wanting to talk to strangers, and you find that, make sure they don't feel shame. Shame, it's such an awful emotion that we experience as a human being. And with children, we don't want curiosity to disappear, to go away. We want to nurture that curiosity, and shame can push that curiosity down. We want to normalize it. So anytime, and they have to understand too that some of the things that they're going to be seeing online, it's not their fault. It just appears in the screen. I tell moms sometimes tell me, they're like, I come by and I know they're seeing something wrong because they shut down the screen because they feel they're doing something wrong, and it's not their fault. A lot of the time, it's not their fault. So we want to make sure we have conversations with them where we don't make them feel bad about that. Now, I get this question a lot. Honest, and they did something wrong. Should I enforce the rules? Yes, you should always enforce the rules. The good things about having rules is that some parents use being upset as a punishment. When you have rules, the punishment is there. You don't have to get upset. So they can say, Mom, I'm sorry. I ended up sneaking in some electronics, and I realized that I had to sleep because I went to my test. I took the test and I did terrible because I didn't sleep. You were right, and I'm sorry. You're like, I thank you. I'm so happy that you realized that. Thank you for being honest with me. You know that when you're honest with me, things get worse. But in this house, we have a rule. And the rule is that if you sneak electronics, this will happen. You enforce it. And don't feel bad. This is a rules. This is a contract. And you have, in that moment, you tell them, life, it's about contracts. We have to meet those contracts, and I have to teach you that it's a reality. You'll be a better employee. You'll be a better spouse. You'll be a better friend. Step number 7, embrace healthy and authentic identity in your children. This is very difficult right now, parents. So difficult. There's a process called Zimbardo. He did an experiment on a prison, the Stanford prison. You can look at it online. If you want more information, you can text me as well or email me. And he called this process de-individualization. It's a process where we lose ourselves into social norms. And it gets exacerbated when there's fear and confusion. This happened to our kids. There's so much information out there. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to behave there. And they end up behaving like the norm. Porn chic, it's a process called the normalization of porn images and values in our society. And you see it in Instagram, the way our children are posing, how much clothes they have on them when they post. It's like masks that they feel they have to put on themselves to feel more confident, to feel maybe they're going to be more likable. We want to prevent that in our children, and the way to do so is by embracing diversity. It's by helping them find their passion and what motivates them, and make sure they're allowed in situations where they feel good and confident about themselves. For example, I live in a community where there's a lot of like bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs. Their children, they're not social. Parents force these children to go to every single party, not the ones that are close friends, but every single party. And they give them their phone. They go to the party. You need to socialize with the phone. You see these kids in the corner watching their phones. Imagine how they feel about themselves. And parents think that they're helping them because they're going to be distracted if something, if they feel uncomfortable. No, they will be more isolated. They will feel more lonely. They will feel more apart. So we have to make sure we don't put our children in situations where they're going to feel worse about themselves. Role models are great actually to inspire that authentic self-identity. Once you know what they like, find role models for them. And always, in any path that will guide our children, there has to be what's in it for me. Children behave, we humans behave according to what is in it for me. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where there's nothing for me. So we have to help our children, what is it there for me if I act authentically, if I really embrace who I am. Step number 8, values. Rules change, boundaries change, values don't change. Values are there, very strong, and they guide ourselves, our behaviors, how we act with other people, and how we feel about ourselves. So families, I recommend you to choose 5 to 10 core values that you feel will inspire your kids, will feel that will guide those boundaries, those family interactions. Step number 9, the brain is a muscle. So while the brain is being trained with technology, and strengthen some muscles, we have to strengthen other muscles that technology do not strengthen. For example, the word no. Yes, there was a psychologist, an amazing video, I don't know what that video is. He used to say that our children need more vitamin N, called vitamin no. We have to tell them no. Children need to get frustrated. Children need to understand that we live in a world where resources are limited. It's not endless, and technology makes us think that everything is endless. This idea, this notion, I want it all and I want it now. I can feel it. I want to buy this. You go into Amazon. I wanted to talk to a friend. You just text. And we're expecting like a very fast response all the time. I think children need to understand that doesn't work that way. That we need to wait, and not everything that we want is going to happen. And it's okay. You will leave. They will leave. They will have other interests. The other things will get formed. Enforcing independence is a big one. Our technology is creating so much dependency. We cannot even remember a phone number anymore. Think about that. So don't do things that they can do. Sometimes, mom, they feel like, but I just want to be nice with them. Yes, I know. We have to embrace independence. Make sure your child engages in difficult situations with long-term rewards in a daily basis. If they come to you frustrated, normalize it. Yes, I know it's difficult. It feels terrible, but you know what? If you continue doing it, you're going to feel so great about yourself. And find passion. Passion can help you with that difficult situation, because when there's passion, like a reason, you will want to fight that frustration even more. Social engagement and empathy. So important right now. Yes, we have social interactions in the digital world. A lot of our children are having it, and I think it's great. But the reality is that it's really hard to feel what the other person is feeling, understand how some of our interaction is affecting the other human being, and we have to help our children be more sensitive about it. Embrace imperfection more than ever. It's two different realities, the real one and the digital. And they have to understand that what happens in the digital doesn't translate into the real world, especially like things like beauty or having a good time, that we see all the time, or appearing to be this amazing human being. No, that doesn't exist. And it's great. I think we have to deliver this message that if imperfection didn't exist, how would you grow? It's a path of growth, imperfection. Life is about trying and not about making it. Embrace team activity, so important, and reading at night. Please, parents, make sure your children are reading at night. Take away electronics. Step 10, become better role model. We can talk and talk and talk, and if we don't act, let me tell you something, they will not listen to us. They are watching us a lot. So the first thing that you have to do is be honest with yourself. Am I putting rules based on my convenience or based on what they need as a human being? I know this is a balance, because we put rules sometimes because we need some space, and it's okay. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure that you're always thinking about what is it that I want them to become. Am I really helping them be in that environment for them to grow, to embrace their strength, and to feel confident? The purpose of using the phone, it's a big example. It's like, am I using a phone as a parent to emotionally regulate myself, or as a tool? It should be more as a tool. Be honest about that. Embrace 3 types of situations. The use of technology, what's the good use of technology, not the no-nos, the good, the interaction between those 2 worlds. It's another one. Like, I have some parents that are like, but they're in the phone all the time showing things. Yes, of course, that's the interaction. Like, I show you things, but I'm interacting with you. That's valid too. And then make sure your children understand that there are zones that are red zones, that nothing bad, no technology, it's there. And stick to them. Now, some habits the parents do sometimes that we have to make sure that they stop doing it, that I really don't like children to see. It's like, you can drink alcohol, but there are things that you will not do in front of your children if you're drinking alcohol. Same with technology. Checking your smartphone constantly. I would love if you can stop that. Spending too much time in electronics, like watching, maybe movies or TV shows for too long. I don't think that's a good example. Not paying attention to our children when they are talking. That's a big one. Like, you're in the phone and they're like, mommy, you're like, and you're really not listening to them. You can tell them, hold on a second, I'm going to finish this text and I get to you. Using phones in free device on these red zones, if it's dinner, if it's playing outside, if nobody can use it, you should not be using it as well. And they will respect more the rules if you do so as well. And showing inconsistency with your core values that you decide at home. So choose your core values wisely and use them consistently. Okay, so what's next? Bring continuity to this subject. Okay, yes, we provide a bunch of services, from technical support, group, video conferences, call to inform you about what do you need to know as parent for certain applications, how to build boundaries. Can be with us, or you can search it up somewhere else, but bring continuity to the subject. So important. You can schedule a free consultation with me and we can go over what you're doing, and I can tell you're doing great, or you need more work here and then. Make sure you are doing this in particular. Give me a call. I'll be more than happy to guide you through the process. Right now, we're offering a 24/7 parenting tech concierge program that involves everything. It's like, if you want to be an expert on this, go into this program. We will give you all the technical support you need for all your home devices, all the information that you need for applications, parenting skills, a lot of them, how to build strong boundaries, how to talk to your children about difficult conversations, everything, at the end, this is about parenting skills. So we will go over all of that as well. So please feel free to give us a call. I really hope these 10 steps were, clear to you. And if you have any difficulties with them, give us a call. So you have the handout. You can mark, okay, this one I have it covered, this one I don't, this one I need help with, but I can maybe find free information on how to help myself. We have some daily tips that we provide to parents that you can learn, in a daily basis, dedicate 1 minute or less to learn something new about technology and parenting. Find ways that fit your schedule, that fit your needs. And let's do everything that we can to make sure that these children are safe, that we are the one raising our children. Alleviate your guilt if you're feeling guilty because you're not doing exactly what you need to do as a parent, and take action, put some time and money to it if it's necessary, and have peace of mind. Like, I want to leave my house knowing that everything is covered. I'm the parent. They don't have extra adults in their life from the digital world. So we're here for you, Digital Sake. The team is here for you. Whatever you need, please contact us. We have an Instagram channel where we have a lot of information there, Facebook group, we have YouTube, we have a lot of videos, and you can go into our website as well. Thank you for listening. Hope you feel great as a parent and build those strong relationship and try to connect more you can with your children, because at the end, that's why we live this world, to have better connections and have great moments in our lives.